Cade Living Soulfully for the 20th of October 2020. Well, we've had a very exciting week in New Zealand. We had elections this last weekend. It was the final phase of the elections, and with a resounding win, Labour stayed in government. Jacinda Ardern and her government have been returned to power again, which is thrilling for those of us who really wanted them to stay and continue with their way of governing and her amazing leadership. I think that leads me into this subject tonight in the way of talking about the world that we desire to live in. And I know that for John and I, we want a world where it is a loving, caring world, where people come before money, where people and wildlife and our beautiful planet comes before the almighty dollar. I'm reminded, I'm just going to bring it up for myself, I'm reminded of a very, I think it's a very insightful piece. It's very short. It says, when the last tree has been cut down, the last fish caught, the last river poisoned, only then we realise we can't eat money. And the tide is turning at present. That so many more of us are becoming conscious and aware of what is happening in our planet, on our planet, and in our homes and in our communities and in our countries, and what we want for our lives now, but also what we want for our future, the future of our children and our grandchildren and the people to come. My work, as you may or may not already know, is predominantly teaching, speaking and sharing insights and what I've learned over 30 years of study and practice as a therapist, and having created therapies in the line of researching and looking into have we lived before, and what are we doing here now, and are our past lives playing out here now. And so this whole subject for me is really an important one. It is about caring for what we have now, in the likelihood and perhaps in the advent that perhaps reincarnation is true. I don't have any problem with believing that it is true or knowing that it is true, but there are many who of course don't think that, and that's good, but there are some of us who perhaps might be borderline. So consider this. What if it is true? What if we leave this planet in the next 20, 30 years, or however long it is, and which is, in a lifetime of all of us who are alive right now. It's not a long time. And we leave it and we don't care about whether the trees are cut down or the animals die or the water gets poisoned or there's no fish anymore or whatever else it is. And we go, yeah, whatever. And we're here for the good time and to make some money and live a life and all the rest of it. What if we do come back and what we find on our return is a result of what we didn't care for when we were here last time? And that would be really quite alarming and eye-opening, wouldn't it, if we could consider that that's a possibility? Do you think that might make us take a bit more care and stand up a bit more and speak out a bit more and look out for our beautiful world and everyone in it, if we thought that we had to come back into an environment that was hostile, it was barren, it was burnt, it was ruined, and we had to come back and live here? Just as we wouldn't go and live in a burnt out house, we don't want to come back to a burnt out planet and have to try and survive in those conditions. David Attenborough, incredible being, incredible human being, has a wonderful program on Netflix at the moment called A Life on Our Planet. It's sobering, humbling, insightful, and it is a look into what we have done to this planet in his lifetime, and it is also he talks about what we can do to change this, to turn this around, to make it better. And I'm not going to go into that, just because I think that if you don't have Netflix, go and join up. It's worth what the fee for a month to go and watch this beautiful and amazing program just on its own. So if you've got Netflix, go and have a look at it. It's amazing. And I'm reminded again of a conversation that we had on the weekend, and that John and I have had with each other and many times before, about the waste that we have on this planet. You know, I was thinking before about these little coffee pods that we have, and coffee cups, and all our disposable things that we have, our technology or our televisions, our toasters, fridge, whatever, all these things that we buy and we buy new ones. And when we grew up in the 50s and 60s and 70s, when we were, you know, young and teenagers, and even into the 80s, you could repair those things. There were people whose job was to repair your jug and put a new element in it, and fix your fridge and fix your washing machine and fix your vacuum cleaner. Now it's no, you can't get any of that fixed. You've got to throw it all away and you've got to get a new one. And so we've become a throwaway society. And I wonder what the world will look like if we don't do something about that and change our individual habits. If we were going to come back and inhabit this planet again as another soul living in another body in another time, and we haven't done anything singularly or collectively to actually do something about this, what will it look like? What will this world look like? What will this earth look like? Who will we be as humans? You know, what will our life be like? What will we be forced to do? And how will we be forced to live if we allow that to go on? And we have, there's a petition going around here at the moment to stop a company coming here just out of Christchurch and pulling billions of litres of water out of our aquifers, our beautiful aquifers that run through the Canterbury Plains, bottling it. And, you know, I think about that and I think, you know, why can't we just get a bottle and fill it up out of our tap and drink that? Why do we have this need to go and buy bottled water off the shelf? It's because it's there and we can do it, and there's been a need created for it, and it's been promoted to us that we need this, and so we go and buy that. It's convenient to walk into a dairy and grab a bottle of water off the shelf. What we need to think about is, where has that come from, and what is the long-term damage and the long-term effect of that? John has said many times that water will become the greatest and most expensive and fought over commodity on the planet, and he's right. You know, we need to protect these aquifers and look out for them because they're precious, and we need to protect everything on this planet. I know for myself that I don't want to come back to a planet that is destroyed. I don't want to do that, but maybe that will be part of my journey, or part of many of our journeys, so that we can come back here and see what we didn't look after in a previous life. I think that would be horrifying. It would be sobering, and it's not something I want to experience. But I'm one person, and as are each of us, we're all one person. But if each one person does something that changes their ways and does something differently, instead of buying into the rampant consumerism, and caring for each other and caring for our planet a whole lot more than we do right now, I think that we can make the changes necessary, singularly and collectively. I think that's what I like about the leadership that we have at the moment, is that it's about humanitarianism. It's about putting human lives first. It's about putting people before dollars, before money, before anything, protecting lives. And I know that, you know, we all have fears, and we all want to protect our backyard and our jobs and our incomes and our families. I understand that. But if we don't care for each other as a whole, then what are we going to look like in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, 50 years' time, 200 years' time? What are we going to look like? Because if we do come back, if we do just, you know, incarnate here again, this is going to be our history. We're going to be going back in there, back in 2020, and you know, in the history back then, the people didn't heed the warning. They didn't listen to what was going on. They didn't heed the warning and the words of those who were saying that you can't keep doing this to your planet. You can't keep doing this to each other, because you will destroy yourselves. And that's a fearful thing. to think that we would destroy ourselves. I think that if we can just see where we live as a wonderful gift. This is a beautiful planet. I'm sitting here looking out my window at the moment. You can't see it, but I'm looking out at the beautiful trees and the shrubs of my garden out here. And I just think, you know, how fortunate I am to have these beautiful plants and the bird life and the butterflies and the bees and everything that come around. I've got a lavender bush out the front, and I enjoy going out there and listening to the bees buzzing around and that. But, you know, there may come a time when that is no longer happening. And it's happening quite rapidly around the world in places where the insect life and the wildlife and there's been deforestation, and everything's being killed off, and the actual ecosystem is falling down. Now, this is not new news to you. I know that you know this already, and you've seen it, and many people have spoken about it. I'm probably the zillionth person that said this. But my point of view is that this is not a single rodeo. You know, this is not a one-timer. You don't sort of get 10 score years and however long in this lifetime and then go, oh good, I've done my bit. Yeah, well, you know, I kind of recycled and I you know, cared for a few things, and yeah, that's my lot. That's great. That is lovely. Keep doing that. But what if it's not enough? What if we need to do more? What if we need to stand up and go, this whole greed that has pervaded the planet for the last decades, and everything's been plundered, and the great money machine has run our lives. What if we can do something about that? What if we can stand up and say that's not how we want to live anymore? It's not who we want, and we don't want leaders who are going to preach that and hold us to ransom in that way. What if we can do something about that? Well, I believe that we can, because I believe that in the past lives that we've had, that we have made a difference enough to be able to hold us in a place, even in this time, even in this chaotic time, that people who've lived before at times when they could see that this was a possibility have come back into this lifetime, and they are making a difference. They are speaking up. They are doing something about it. And maybe we will be those people in the future when we come back into other lives who will go, you know, we will remember consciously or unconsciously what happened back here, and we may be able to help in time to come. But that takes a level of consciousness to be able to do that. So I feel that, you know, looking out around our town here where we are in Rangiora, there are a huge amount of subdivisions that are coming up. Beautiful pasture land that used to be here, that used to be farmland, is now being carved up for housing. And, you know, I look at some of those houses and the sections, and particularly little houses, you know, there's no room for a washing line. You can put your hand on the house and your hand on the fence. And there's nothing between the houses anymore. That used to be illegal. You couldn't do that. There are some houses being built now that don't even have garages, so you've got nowhere to store your stuff, so you need a storage facility to put your stuff in. There are cars being made now that don't even have a spare tyre, so that if you get a breakdown, if you get a puncture, you can't actually change your own tyre because you don't have one. Now, I was really shocked when my colleagues where I used to work told me that. I was like, what? What are we coming to? What's happening to us that we are less and less able to do for ourselves? And, you know, my daughter went flatting, so when she first went flatting, made a fireplace in this flat. And she was the only one who knew how to light a fire, because we'd taught her that. We had fireplaces in our house, and we just had an outside fireplace, and the kids used to light it and cook their meals over it. Those young people didn't know how to light a fire. You know, fire is fundamental to us. It is fundamental to our existence, to our ability to be able to keep warm and to cook and care for ourselves. But that's all gone too. We can't do that anymore. We're not doing that anymore.
Sit at home in the cold.
Yeah, that's right. John just said they sat at home in the cold waiting for her to turn up so that she could light the fire for them, because they didn't know. That's not a shame on them. It's just that it was something they didn't know how to do. And I think that I grew up in an environment on the West Coast where my friend Jenny calls us free-range kids, where we roamed free and we played in the bush and we built huts and we solved problems and we got dirty and we got ourselves into danger and we got ourselves out. We got ourselves into trouble and we got ourselves out. We'd bike for miles, walk for miles, ride for miles on horses, whatever it was. And, I know that that's idealistic, but it was true. It's what happened. And then I moved to the city and down south from here, and I was just astounded at how the people of that time, the young people of my age of that time, they didn't do any of those things. They kind of relied on the roller skating rink or the movie theatre or what other things to entertain themselves. And I was so foreign to all of that. I felt like Ellie Mae Clampett. And I think that that's happening more and more, that we are losing the ability to look after ourselves, to care for ourselves. We need supermarkets and veggie shops and all these other services that are being created out there so that we become less and less self-supporting. So what will that mean for us in time to come? And what will our world look like down the track if we were to leave it now and return to it? What will it look like? Who will we have to be in order for us to be able to live in that and raise a family in that and have a life in that? And that concerns me. It concerns me greatly. With or without reincarnation, take that out of the equation. It really concerns me. I mean, we have grandchildren, and I consider that, and they're pretty resourceful grandchildren. All of them are. They come through, their parents are very resourceful people and they teach them a lot of really good skills. And I think that's really good for them, that they are given those skills. They need them and they will need them. But what about the children who aren't and don't know how to do basic things for themselves? I also think about one of the things that the whole thing of being able to cook for ourselves, cook meals for ourselves, and use ingredients, actually be able to go and shop for ingredients to be able to, or grow our own food, or barter for it, or whatever. Those things are so important to us and fundamental to our ability to be able to exist and to be able to survive if there is any kind of disaster, or if for some reason we end up in a world that is no longer able to support us in the way that it is right now. What will we look like? What will it look like? I'm hopeful. I always feel hopeful that there are more and more people who are becoming aware and speaking up and taking action and doing the things that need to be done to help save us all, to help bring us all to a place where we can start to rejuvenate and regenerate this earth, and to bring us all to a place where we can embrace our hunter-gatherer a lot more than we do right now. We shouldn't forget that part of ourselves. It's so incredibly important, and it's what's missing from our lives, that hunter-gatherer, that need to be able to provide for ourselves, to go in search of the things that we need for ourselves. Instead we go to the supermarket and the malls. That's our hunter-gatherer, expressions of our hunter-gatherer. I'm going to go to the mall and I'm going to go shopping around and look for what I want. I'm going to go to the big complex down the road and get what I need, instead of going out into the bush and cutting off something and turning it into something that we might need. We go shopping and we're bored and we need more money to do that. That's the scary thing, is that the more that we farm out to other people to do for us and provide for us, the more money we need to provide for ourselves. And that's becoming harder and harder and harder. And it's going to become even harder again, until maybe, hopefully, we will wake up and go, actually, this doesn't work, and you need to convey that to the leaders of our world, that this is not how we want to live anymore. I know that's how I feel. And I'm very happy and very, I suppose I'm relieved. I feel relieved that we have the government that we have now. Sorry to all those people who voted National. I know that you must be feeling rotten right now and a little bit frightened. I get that. you know, compassion and a need for love and making people real is very important. Giving people that honour of making them real and not just numbers and not just statistics and not just kind of platitudes to people, instead of actually really getting to know who we all are and what our needs are. I think that's what I like about our leader, is that she goes out and she talks to people. She's actually on the ground. She's out there talking to people all the time, and she's listening to what they want. She's on the ground. She's got the ear of the people, and they have hers. And I think that's really important, because that's where the change is going to come from. Now, Monica Charlotte, hello dear, how are you? You said, look at the rainforests. They're being cut down tenfold for cows and to feed people. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And that's what David Attenborough talks about, this, the deforestation and how that's hurt us and how little we have left. And hi Joe, yeah, teaching kids to cook is a tremendous gift. Yes, teaching them to cook, teaching them about what ingredients are, teaching them about vegetables, teaching about how to grow them is so important. And, you know I'm probably preaching to the converted, and there's a whole lot of you out there going, well, I already know all that, and I already do all that. And if you do, then yay, you keep doing more of it, keep spreading the word, keep telling people, keep talking to people. Having the conversations is really, really important. But perhaps add in there, the little conversation piece, if you are even remotely interested in reincarnation at all, that, hey, here's a party teaser. What if this whole reincarnation thing is true, and that we do live again and we do come back. What if we come back to this world that we left and didn't do anything about? What's it going to look like? I can tell you, I know that I will be coming back and others will be coming back. We've been here before and here we are now. And it's our I don't say it's duty, but it's our need to care for this world and to care for each other. It's so important. It's so important that we do that, and that we don't just turn a blind eye and a deaf ear and do nothing. And that we actually, when we're shopping or we're out there looking, don't buy things that have to go into landfill. Don't buy those little coffee things that you have to just throw in the bin, or maybe some of them are recyclable. That's really great. And if they are recyclable, that's great. But do we really need them? Are they necessary? Can we just put coffee in a cup with a spoon? Thinking of ways that we can not have to use those things. They don't have to be manufactured. Yes, they might create jobs for people, but maybe there are other ways of doing it. And looking at what can be recycled and returned and turned into other things. I think we're getting better at it than what we have been before. I was given a piece I suppose it's intuitively some time ago. It says, we say we want to leave behind a world that is free from prejudice and fear, that is clean and organic. And I put to you that you're not leaving this just to the children of today, but to yourself of tomorrow. What you create today, you will find on your return. And when I got those words, when they came through, I think that when they came through to me, I just I was already awake, but it made me feel even more urgent about doing something, about making a difference myself, and being more conscious of what I was doing with my own life, and not just getting caught up in the consumerism, because I know that I was there, and I'm glad I'm not there anymore. And John's just made me a note here. It says, when we were growing up, paper bags were the norm. We'd go to the supermarket and there'd be paper bags, and you'd get things put in the paper bag at the grocer's, or you take the basket up there. And we're going back there again, and that's so good. Getting paper bags. They're at the supermarkets now. These bags that we have, that are the shopping bags that you can use for a whole lot of other things. They're great for everything you want to use them for. So much better than the plastic bags that we used to use. So we're making progress, and that's really good. Let's just make some more. And if each of us go, I don't actually need that. There is a much more healthy and holistic alternative for me to do that I can make a difference, just one small thing at a time. And in the end, we will make a huge difference. I know we will. Yeah, Monica says they were saying that they can now use plastic as road base. So all plastic that would normally go into the landfill is now being used for that. Yeah, there's great. There's lots of ways that things are being reused now and put into better purpose. And there are many more products out there that are available to make people's lives better. And I think that looking at people who make their own, I love the markets. A friend of mine, Caroline Travella, she's up at the Rangiora market selling her beautiful artwork. I did a Soulful Connections with her recently. Go and have a look at it, it's on my website. And the people who are up there making and selling their own wares and selling vegetables and their own products, and they're talking to their customers. They're there with their customers face to face, which is really nice. We seem to be wanting to get back to that more and more. Well, that's about all I've really got to say. I think I've probably covered all of it. I know it's a lot, and we're already aware of it and have become aware of it from so many different sources. I'm just one more voice in the great world of trying to save what we have that is precious to us. So think about it when you go shopping next. Think about when you're buying your groceries. Think about it when you want to actually, think about growing something, even if it's something small, if it's something just a dish on your windowsill. Start there and see how that feels. If you're not doing it already, and if you are, good on you, keep doing more. And consider the option of reincarnation. It's not a terrible stretch. It's actually something that is of great value to us. If you haven't already seen it, I've got a course coming up, a live Zoom course coming up on Sunday night at 7 p.m, 25th October, Past Lives, Present Life, where I'll be talking more about how our past lives are playing out here now, and perhaps what our future lives might actually involve based upon where we are right now and what's going on for us. So you can join me there if you like. You can go and sign up through Eventbrite. All the links are on my Facebook page and on my website. And John will put the link up for Eventbrite on this one as well, so that you can go and click on it and have a look if you want to. So thank you very much for being with me, and thank you for all the things that you are doing to try and make our world a better place. I know that we are all making a difference in our own way. So good night for now, and thank you for being here.